So, John, there's people out there, and it's tough on. It's right now. It's tough on first-time home buyers. It's tough on a lot of people. Credit is a big issue right now.
Sure.
And so, if there's someone out there who's currently renting, and they're saying, "Gee, I'd love to buy a house, but what do I got to do? I mean, how am I going to do that?" I mean, they don't want. They're afraid. One of the reasons we do this show is to kind of hope you alleviate and eliminate that fear.
Right.
But let's talk about credit.
So part of that process is getting your credit in shape.
Yeah. So what do they need to do to get the credit in shape?
This is Las Vegas Real Estate Now with local real estate expert Harvey Blankfeld.
What's the steps? What do they need to do?
There's two angles where your credit's coming into play. Like when it comes to getting a mortgage to finance a house, there's the monthly payment obligations that you have and how that is, percentage-wise is compared against your monthly income.
Right.
And then there's the credit that you're carrying and what it does to the credit score that you have at the time, right? It is both these issues are going to dictate what you're going to be able to do and not going to be able to do. There's this common instinct when people are preparing to buy a home that they will begin working on their credit. They'll think about, okay, how do I improve this so I have as good a chance as possible, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of these things that people do end up being mistakes or counter.
It seems like the right thing to do, but it's really not the right thing to do.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And so there's a few things. So let's start with the positive side. If you want to improve your credit score as rapidly as possible, you simply pay down credit card debt.
Right.
Pay down your revolving debt obligations.
Right.
So this is credit cards effectively, and so
pay them down. Don't close the account.
100% agree with that.
Yeah, pay the balance off every period. If you can pay the balance off,
if you can afford to do that, if not, at least shrink that balance. At least go after the balance. But
and there are lines there, right? So inside the credit score formula, it's a black box. But effectively, what it does is this: if you go above 50% of your credit limit, it begins actively pushing your score lower.
Yeah,
you're gonna drive your score down and down and down the higher you go above 50%.
Okay.
So milestone number one in my mind is simply get it out of max and get it below 50% of your credit limit.
So if my credit card says I can spend up to $10,000, once I cross 5, I'm starting to diminish my credit score.
Yeah, when you go above 5,000, you're going to be actively pushing your score down. This is looked at on an individual account basis as well as all of your accounts combined.
Right.
So if I have one card that's maxed out and it ends up being, half of my total available credit, that's a bad thing.
I see. So it's not the individual cards; it's the total
both.
sum. It is both. Oh, okay.
It's both.
Okay.
And so so you drive, let's say that 10,000 credit card, you get it below 5,000 in your balance. Now it's no longer pushing your score down; it's kind of in neutral.
Gotcha.
Right? In that 40 to 50% range, you're sort of in neutral. As you get it going even lower, you get below 30% of your available credit. Now that's actively pushing your score up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
This is great information. I'd never heard this before.
Yep. And this game can be worked out both ways, by the way. You can do this by paying your credit down, but you can also do it by raising your limits.
Oh, of course.
And that costs you $0 typically.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Get another credit card and don't use it.
Well, I'm just saying double that 10,000 credit card limit, right?
There you
Take
go.
it to 20,000.
Okay.
Now what you're using is a much lower percentage. Now this is a solution for the credit score. It may be the pathway to hell for you, though.
Yes. Of course.
If you get too much available credit that is more than you can handle, and it can take you down financially completely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you got to be very cautious with that. But in general, if you're a good credit user and this sort of thing, there is no downside to having $1 million of available credit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's no automatic harm that's done there.
As long as you can withstand the temptation to utilize it.
Correct.
Unwisely.
Buy that private island on your credit card. Yes.
Right.
This is, and I'm going to take a little sideways venture on this because I've been talking about this a lot lately. There's a lot of people on social media advocating rental over buying. And part of their argument is, hey, rent's cheaper than owning the home. Take that extra money and invest it. But that's not what people do.
They don't do that.
They don't do that. If they've got extra money, they spend it. I'm going to eat at a nice restaurant this week, and I'm going to eat out every night. Whatever it is, if they've got the money, they spend it. They don't invest it. But if you put it in the house,
they invest it in travel.
Yeah, right, or buying an island or whatever. But if it's in the house itself, you can't spend it, and your house over time is appreciating and your principal's going down.
Yeah.
That's how you can build personal wealth. Anyway, I'm
Agreed.
sorry to digress. I had to point that out.
That's fair. So so paying down credit card balances is the first go-to if you're trying to improve your credit score. Let's say your credit card balances are paid. There's nothing there. The next instinct people have is they go to start looking at their collections. They have this stupid $500 athletic club collection from 2 years ago. The problem here is that people pay those collections and they've done harm to themselves in their credit score.
Right.
And this is really driven around the fact that the balance of a collection has no impact in your credit score. Whether it's a $100 collection or a $1 million collection, that itself has no impact in the credit score. It's simply, when did this collection happen? When was the date of your last activity on this account?
Right.
That's what's really impacting it.
Okay.
And so when you go to deal with collections, which, by the way, I got to say this, there's not really any mortgage that's commonly used that requires you to pay collections.
Oh, okay.
Usually the worst case consequence is I'm going to hit you for some payment towards that debt into your debt ratio, imagining that they've come to collect on you and they force you to start paying.
But that collection affects their FICO score.
It does. Okay. So whatever damage is in the FICO score is there, but the mortgage is not going to tell you no simply because you have a collection.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. All right.
That's not a thing really anymore at this point.
It's just going to compensate for it.
Yeah. I mean, the damage or the risk that's being taken into account is reflected in the credit score.
Got it.
And so you're paying more for that
your
loan
effective rate.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
So the key with collections is you simply want to either leave them alone, right? Or you negotiate with that creditor to agree to delete the collection as if it never existed.
Go back to the original creditor, not the collection company.
You may get into a little bit of it's possible, but not always successful.
Yeah,
but here's the thing.
They've already sold it to somebody else.
If the lien's been sold
Right. You're not going to go back to your cable company and get them to buy it back and things like this. In many of these cases, the collection company has purchased that debt from that company, and so the business is over, right?
Right.
But here's the thing: is there's nothing in the credit reporting rules that says they must report bad things about you, right? There's no rule that says I have to talk bad about you,
right?
And so they have the power to delete it as if it never happened. And so you make this part of your negotiation. You want $1 from me, collection company? Then you're going to agree to delete this as if it never existed, and then I'll pay you this amount of money.
Okay.
Right? That's absolutely fair. That's how businesses
and they'll
would
do
work.
that.
They can and will do that. For
Okay.
sure. Now, the first person you talk to on the phone may not say this is possible.
No.
They may say it's against the law. All these things are not true, right? They have the power to do it if they want to do it, right?
Good information.
So, and here's the big key in my mind is anytime you come to an agreement with them, you get it in writing before you give them 1 penny.
Yep.
Yeah.
As soon as you give them $1, they've got you.
Yeah.
Because you've just reset the clock on that debt for 7 more years.
Oh, my.
That they get to try to collect it for you. They can keep it on your credit report. It's not going away.
Wow.
Right? And so it's all based upon your activity. And talking to them is not activity.
Right.
It's so checking
negotiation
on it.
Negotiation
doesn't count as activity to reset these clocks, right? So it's simply, did you pay them $1? Did you transact with them or not, right? And so that's the key devil in the details with collections is it's all geared upon when did that collection happen? Was that 1 year ago? Was it 1 month ago? And the older it is, the less damaging it is.
Okay.
And so you don't want to take a collection that's 4 years old, reset the date on it, make it look brand new.
Okay.
Yeah. It's worse for you to have a brand new collection that's paid than a 4-year-old collection that's not paid.
Now, what other elements should I need to be considering when I'm talking about my credit?
All right, there's this large instinct out there in the world for people to take big chunks of their savings and pay off installment loans. So think student loans or auto loans, these loans that have a fixed monthly payment that you're supposed to be paying, and they think I'm going to pay off my car loan and that will raise my credit score. And unfortunately, that is typically not true. The balance on an installment loan is not relevant to your credit score. So once again, similar to a collection where whether you owe $1,000 or $50,000 on that auto loan has no difference to your credit score.
It's really that payment.
Yeah, well, it's measuring how long a track record you have for making that payment on time.
Gotcha.
How long since your last late payment. That's what's being judged is your activity there. The balance itself is irrelevant. And so when you go to paying off that credit, that car loan, your balance goes to zero. Did you improve anything? No, you didn't.
Oh, okay.
What you've actually done in the longer run is potentially hurt yourself because you had this auto loan that was saying, look, for the last 3 years, I've paid on time every single month. And oh, by the way, my most recent payment just 2 weeks ago was on time too. That's a great thing for my credit score. How positive is it for you to have an auto loan that said you paid on time 6 months ago?
Yeah.
Because you paid it to zero and it's closed now, but you were on time 6 months ago.
Plus, you also diminished your reserve.
Potentially, yeah. You're taking money that we could use strategically out of your savings, and now you're spending it on a loan that's really not going to move your credit score significantly.
Does savings account balances have an effect on your credit score?
It has an effect only so far as it gives you optionality. If a problem can be solved by writing a check, you still have the ability to solve that problem.
Right.
Without any money, you can't solve it. Right.
But if you have like a long-term balance in
we're
your
not
savings
measuring
account,
that. No.
Okay.
No. Okay.
No. Whether you, There was talk about bringing that into the mortgage business where we might look at your account for like the last year and see that, oh yeah, the whole time they had $20,000 in savings, right? But it's not really in the rules at this point to where it's something that people need to worry about. So paying off installment loans, that's not a good thing. And then one other thing that people miss sometimes is the idea of not having bad stuff on your credit is always ideal,
right?
But it's just as important to have positive things talking about you, right? Having open and available credit is part of having a great credit score,
right?
And this is, not the Dave Ramsey kind of stuff where I don't want you to ever have credit. I'm not a believer in that myself.
Right.
I understand what he's trying to do, but I live in a world where I'm going to have to borrow money from time to time.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to wait 10 years to pay cash for a car.
Right.
Yeah. When your air conditioner goes out and you got to pay $10,000.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Put a little bit of credit on that.
You got no problem.
I understand it's costing me money and it's a slower solution than paying cash. But anyways, so the best credit scores will have at least 3 to 4 open positive accounts about them.
Okay.
So that could be, and the mix of the type of credit also matters in the long run. But, whether it's 3 or 4 open credit cards or 2 credit cards, an auto loan and a mortgage, all this kind of stuff, that goes into the ability for your credit score to get to its highest levels, right? And currently in the mortgage business, the normal answer is 780 and higher is all the same. So once you get into that high 700s, you're in the best category and you're good to go there. Okay. There's no bonus point for being 850 versus 780, really.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so that's what, I'd encourage people to strive for. Anything above 700, you're in a good category. You're going to have most options available to you and you'll be fine for ability to borrow.
And that's your goal.